What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to tell you how to make it through solitary confinement, or at least how I made it through. Okay, so solitary confinement is probably the worst part of being locked up. It's a funny thing, though, because initially, when you first get there, it's a nightmare. It's like the worst kind of punishment because you're so not used to being completely confined and separate from everyone else, from all other fucking life, and it gets to you. But a strange thing tends to happen. After some time, you get used to it. And it's an amazing thing, guys. We can get used to and acclimate to all different types of very difficult conditions. And that's what happened with me. In the beginning, my first time in solitary confinement was for 2 weeks. That first 2 weeks was a fucking nightmare. It was very difficult. The first 24 hours in there was probably the most difficult. But, as I said, I got used to it. I got to the point where I actually preferred isolation over anything else. I preferred to be locked down in a cell by myself than be in population and be doing all the other bullshit that others do. So I learned and was able to adapt to the point where I didn't even give a fuck. I didn't need anybody else, and I didn't need contact. And I did that intentionally. The reason I did that was so that I could take power away from the administration, from the guards, and from the state who was trying to punish me and pressure me into taking a plea bargain. This is all before I was sentenced. And in doing that, I basically took all their power away. And I was able to tell them at any point, at any time, against any threat, I don't give a fuck where you put me. Put me anywhere the fuck you want. You could put me in the fucking basement under the prison. Doesn't matter to me. I'm doing the time. It doesn't matter where I do the time. It's all the same shit to me. And I was able to get to that point. And but the way I did the actual solitary time was by committing to a routine, being very regimented in my routine in what I did. That's how the days passed. Without that, the other guys who didn't and weren't able to do what I did, they went through their time in ridiculous ways. For example, the worst part of solitary confinement units for me is how fucking loud they are. It is so loud. And this is 24 hours a day, around the clock. Sometimes these guys would be banging on their doors for days straight. They don't stop. So the way that some of these guys do it is they bang on their doors, they're fucking rapping, making beats and shit, or they're screaming out to other people in the unit constantly, just so they could have some interaction or they could hear themselves. I don't know what the fuck it is. To me, that's ridiculous. I don't fucking bang on the door. I don't fucking rap. And I'm not trying to be screaming out to other people. Occasionally, if I have something I have to say, I do so. But not just for the sake of doing it. I don't do that. I do my time quietly. And some other people, they suffered real bad. They suffer mental breakdown in solitary and they go crazy in there. I hear it happening. I hear them starting off talking to themselves and then fighting themselves and hurting themselves, and eventually some of them end up killing themselves or attempting to commit suicide in those units because they cannot handle the pressure of being locked in and not having a way out. They can't. What I did was I spent most of my day reading. That was my thing. I would read all the time. The worst case scenario for me was solitary confinement where there was no books allowed. That was the worst because now I'm fucked. Now you took away my number one tool in passing the time. Definitely the worst for me. But the other thing I did was I worked out. After every single meal, all right, they serve you 3 meals a day. The first one's at like 6 a.m. They open your key port and they drop the tray. And if you're not there to pick it up and catch it, it drops to the ground and there goes your food. You stay hungry. Likewise for all the other meals. So that's how I did it. I was able to work out after every single meal and I had my routine. I do, at least 500 push-ups, let's say. I do body weight squats. in one unit where I was able to hang off of a light fixture and do pull-ups. So I do a bunch of sets, 10 sets of pull-ups, and I do ab work. And then I'd mix in a bunch of other different things, calves and stuff like that. But that's what got me through it, guys. That routine. Every single day with discipline. Bam, 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 bam. I do exactly what I need to do over and over and over. And that's how the time passed. Some people are able to sleep it through. I don't know how the fuck people could sleep through that with all that fucking noise and shit. And I don't know how they can do it. For me, it was so bad that I had to take toilet paper and I would wet the toilet paper and make a little ball and stuff it in my ears. And one day I woke up and that fucking ball of toilet paper was gone. Went all the way up my ear canal and I had to go to medical. And thank God they were able to pull it out with some curved tool that they had there. Otherwise I could have been fucked. But that's how bad it was. I'm stuffing things in my ear because I can't stand the fucking ignorant noise that is a constant in these places. I hated it. I wanted to stab these motherfuckers to make them shut the fuck up. But I couldn't get out of my cell anyway. So that's it, guys. That's basically how you do it. You know, you get in a routine and you have to be mentally strong. You must. You must. And, you know, I will admit that I went crazy in there at times as well. I really did. You know, solitary confinement for me is where you separate the men from the boys. This is where you find out how fucking bad you are. And at times, when I was in there for a longer period, like a month or so, I found myself talking to myself, having conversations with myself. I was hearing voices at times. You know, I thought that the devil was with me at times in there, provoking me and talking to me and fucking with me. It was bad. You know, these things happen in there. When you're all alone and isolated, crazy things start happening, and it's just, you really just have to survive. It's a matter of is survival. Other people do way longer times in solitary. I have friends who've done years in solitary, so I didn't do that long, fortunately. For me, it was generally a month at a time, and that's all it was. It was never longer stretches, so I'm very happy about that. But as I mentioned in the beginning, I got used to it. You know, after a while, I really did. I got used to it, and I didn't care, and I just dealt with it, whatever the fuck it is. It was just time. That's all. That's how I looked at it. It didn't matter where I was. It doesn't matter what prison, what jail, what unit, who's around me, solitary, open. It didn't matter. My enemy is the time. The time will pass regardless, no matter what. And that's how I looked at it. And fortunately, I utilized that time to read a tremendous amount of books. You know, I was averaging, depending on the size font, you know, I was averaging 300 plus pages a day that I was reading. So usually a book a day, at least, I'd finish. All the time I wasn't working out, I couldn't sleep during the day, I'd be reading nonstop. Reading. I also did some writing when I was able to. You know, I had somebody sneak me a pen or something and some paper. I was able to write as well. I actually wrote a book in solitary confinement about my life. And it was like 70, 80 pages in. And they did a shakedown on my cell one day, and these guards tore it up and fucking ripped it and destroyed it, which hurt me because it took a lot of time, and I put my heart into that. And now, all these years later, I really wish I had that, especially so I could share it with you guys to let you know exactly what my mindset was and what my thought process was while I was there. So I just wanted to share this video with you guys. You know, a lot of you, thankfully, are never going to be in those situations or have never been in the past. I always wanted to be that way, guys, for you. I never want any of you to go through what I had to go through, and many others as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this and found some information positive in some way. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks.